On April 11, 2012, a startling incident unfolded at the Magistrates Court in Minna, where 5 out of 7 armed robbery suspects managed to evade custody while awaiting the magistrate's arrival to commence proceedings, as recounted by witnesses. According to reports from eyewitnesses conveyed to the news agency of Nigeria, the suspects made their getaway in a Honda Accord belonging to Tanimu Bako, the prosecutor. It was alleged that they utilized cutlasses and a sickle, which they found within the courtroom, to assault the prosecutor, rendering him unconscious. A court employee disclosed to NAN that the suspects were observed whispering among themselves before seizing the weapons on display within the courtroom. Armed with these implements, they instilled fear among court staff before launching their attack on the prosecutor. The worker further revealed that the prosecutor attempted to secure the courtroom door before being overwhelmed by the assailants, resulting in severe injuries and profuse bleeding that necessitated immediate medical attention at Minna General Hospital. Magistrate Amina Musa corroborated these accounts in her statement to NAN, expressing gratitude that she had not yet arrived at the scene, acknowledging the potential danger she could have faced. "Thank God that I had not arrived. Only God knows what they could have done to me," she said. Mrs. Musa said the remaining suspects have been handed over to the police and stressed that the prison officials brought the suspects to court without adequate security arrangements at the court. "There was no police or warder at the court when it happened," she said. She said that the police later recovered Mr. Bako's car without the suspects at Maurice area of Minna, where they hit another car while trying to escape from the police, who were chasing them. Also confirming the incident, the police public relation officer in Niger, Richard Oguche, said the police have queried the prison authority. Ms. Musa highlighted the lack of adequate security arrangements at the court premises, emphasizing the absence of police or prison warders at the time of the incident. The incident served as a wake-up call for authorities to address vulnerabilities in security protocols and reinforce measures to deter similar occurrences in the future. A man who escaped from the dock in the Northern Territory Supreme Court and shoved a security guard has been sentenced over the escape and the armed robbery charges he was originally in court to face. Kyle Campion, 21, on Friday, December 16, 2022, pleaded guilty to charges laid over the incident earlier this week, including aggravated assault and escaping custody as well as property damage. The court heard Campion was previously arrested in December 2021 for an armed robbery and had remained in custody before being brought to court for sentencing on the morning of December 13th. When the matter was adjourned so the court could consider a potential suspended sentence, Campion seized the opportunity to escape the courtroom. The 21-year-old man shoved the security guard behind him with force to the throat and chest, according to presiding Justice Sonia Brownhill. He then jumped over the dock and grabbed a metal water jug as he ran out of the courtroom with the intent to exit the building. The court security staff closed the courthouse automatic glass front doors before Campion shoulder charged and smashed the jug against them, causing them to shatter. The court heard that he then fled the courthouse through an emergency fire door. He was found by police less than an hour later on nearby Smith Street, holding a steel bar and a garden pick, trying to deter the officers who came to catch him. Justice Brownhill said a police officer pointed a taser at Campion and told him to drop the weapons before arresting him without incident. Campion's lawyer, Joe Burke, said his client had fled the dock because he found out that some family members had died and he had not had the chance to speak to his lawyer before his court appearance. He noted that he was just feeling frustrated out of fear that he would miss those funerals, Mr. Burke said. He said Campion, who has spent most of his life in Manangrita, had been diagnosed with a number of cognitive disorders over his life, but a report tendered in court outlining his most recent psychiatric evaluation found no indication of cognitive impairment. Crown Prosecutor Steve Leddick said Campion had previously been convicted of escaping custody on 2 separate occasions, so this wasn't his first attempt to escape. His criminal history suggests that when he sees an opportunity to make a break for it, he will take that opportunity, he said. Justice Brownhill sentenced Campion for the offense, as well as for the aggravated robbery of a man at the Casuarina bus exchange and for carrying a knife in the Casuarina car park in December 2021. Campion had earlier pleaded guilty on both counts. "What you did in escaping custody was brazen and caught on CCTV cameras," Justice Brownhill told Campion during his sentence hearing. Such offending undermines the administration of justice, and the front doors of the Supreme Court are a symbol of the administration of justice in the Northern Territory. Campion was sentenced to 2 years and 5 months prison for the aggravated robbery and 1 year and 7 months for his attempted escape. He will, however, be eligible for parole in late 2024. Akpara Miracle, a rape suspect hailing from Akuzu, an Oyi local government area of Anambra State, managed to evade custody from a magistrates court in Awka on October 5, 2016. The escape occurred just as Miracle's trial was set to start, and he took advantage of the moment when his handcuffs were removed. Allegedly, he forcefully broke through the window louvers and fled into a nearby bush. Prior to his escape, Miracle had been arrested on charges of kidnapping, rape, and involvement in cult activities. He was scheduled to be arraigned for the abduction of a minor whom he purportedly held captive in an unfinished building in Awka for an extended period, during which he sexually assaulted her. According to reports from the News Agency of Nigeria, NAN, the absence of protective measures on the windows facilitated Miracle's escape. Witnesses stated that Miracle had initially been brought to the court wearing handcuffs, but they were later unlocked with the expectation that he would exhibit good behavior. Unfortunately, the situation took an unexpected turn. N.A. Onunkwo, the presiding magistrate, instructed the police to intensify efforts in locating and apprehending the escaped suspect, emphasizing the importance of bringing him to justice. An Ohio drug convict mounted a daring caught-on-camera escape from custody during his sentencing in September 2020, according to reports. Nicholas Garrison, 34, had been on the run since Tuesday, September 22, 2020, when he shook loose from deputies and fled the Highland County Courthouse, where he was to be sentenced on a felony meth possession charge, WKRC reported. Footage from the courthouse shows Garrison break loose from 2 deputies as he was being led into a courtroom. The courtroom cameras show Garrison taking off, running through the courtroom and out a door. He then runs out and down a flight of stairs with the deputies in tow. One deputy is seen leaping over the railing and onto the staircase in a frantic attempt to tackle Garrison. The deputy suffered broken ribs and a possible concussion during the fall, the station reported. Nicholas Garrison was found just a few days later, after a video emerged of his escape from the Highland County Courthouse earlier in the week. In the early morning hours of Friday, September 25, 2020, Garrison was apprehended without incident at a Clinton County motel. Following the incident, 2 women have been accused of helping the 35-year-old with his great courtroom escape. Amber Ward, 29, agreed that she did aid and abet and did harbor and conceal Nicholas Garrison in the days that followed his escape. At a later scheduled status hearing, the woman pleaded guilty to the charges facing her. The other woman who was accused of helping Garrison after his escape attempt, Alicia M. Ralston, 32, received a 3-year community control sentence from Hogan in April 2021 for the incident. A year later, Garrison appeared before visiting judge Daniel Hogan and pleaded guilty to 1 count of escape, a 3rd-degree felony, and 1 count of assault on a peace officer, a 4th-degree felony, in connection with his escape from the 2nd-story courtroom. Garrison was sentenced to 12 months on each count of escape and assault on a peace officer, to be served consecutively, and 2 years on each count of aggravated possession of methamphetamine and aggravated possession of fentanyl-related compound, also to be served consecutively. Thinking back on his actions, Garrison stated, "I'd just like to say, I never planned that out. I acted on impulse and I really regret those decisions." Back on June 11, 2004, a group escape shattered the community of Perth, Australia. A manhunt commenced after 9 prisoners overpowered guards at a court, stole the supervisor's keys, and fled before carjacking 2 motorists. Police officers fortunately recaptured one of the escapees when they stopped a stolen car at an off-ramp at Perth's southbound freeway. The men were among 11 maximum and medium security prisoners who had been transferred from a prison transport van into a basement holding center at the West Australian Supreme Court building shortly before 11 a.m. WST. On June 11th, the WA Justice Department said, 9 of them overpowered 3 AIMS security officers and stole the supervisor's security keys before fleeing a holding cell in the basement via corridors and a fire escape. Several of the escapees carjacked 2 male motorists who had stopped at traffic lights near the courthouse. pulling them from the vehicles and taking their cars. Others fled on foot. Around 1 p.m. WST, police stopped one of the stolen vehicles, a Land Rover, on the Leech Highway off-ramp of the Kwinana Freeway. The other 8 men were still at large, and police were also looking for the other stolen car, a blue Holden Commodore. All 9 prisoners were classified as maximum or medium security prisoners. Several had a history of violence, and all were wearing civilian clothes when they escaped. 3 were sentenced inmates, but were appearing in court on other matters according to the Justice Department. 1 was facing an appeal, and the others were in custody on remand. All were attending court for status conferences. Their current and alleged offenses range from armed robbery, aggravated burglary, stealing motor vehicles, and assaulting a public officer, the Justice Department said back in 2004 when the event took place. Fortunately, 4 of the 9 fugitives were caught a few days after their initial escape, while the other 5 were brought again into police custody days later. However, this remains one of the most iconic courtroom escapes in Australia, especially because it was orchestrated by a large group of inmates.